Welcome to another fantastic session brought to you by Learning to Lead. An introduction to management and planning tools that will be key to your success of your Six Sigma project. What's your plan? Let's look at advanced quality planning. Advanced Quality Planning, or AQP, is based on the idea that solid planning helps prevent surprises and saves valuable resources. With AQP, the concept is plan ahead. Review the parameters of what we're going to do and ask questions. AQP is the first step in the Plan, Do, Check, or Study Act, PDCA or PDSA. And it's also called Advanced Product Quality Planning, or APQP. Let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, auditing. Now, auditing isn't a bad thing. Auditing is just comparing what you're doing to standards like AS 9100, ISO 9001, or TS 16949. The process is gathering the evidence and doing a reconciliation against the standard compared to what you are actually doing at your company, and then identifying opportunities for improvement. From there, there's some reporting that includes activities that you need to do, the scope of the audit, of course, the results. Sometimes there is a corrective action, which means an error has been found and it needs to be immediately corrected. And other times there are also preventative actions. So it's what we would call a near miss. So potentially you're going to have an issue. So in order to prevent that from happening, you have a preventative action. And this also directly relates to our concept of FEMA. Another helpful management and planning tool is benchmarking. There are two different types of benchmarking: internal benchmarking and external benchmarking. Internally, you can compare processes from your department to a different department and take the best from each process to improve your own. Externally, it can be done within the same industry or with an organization from a different industry. The steps are to create a flowchart of your current process, make it visual, identify the areas to be improved, also known as areas that contain waste. Brainstorm ideas on how you can make this process better. Investigate how others perform similar processes. Develop plans for the application of those ideas and do a pilot test to see if those ideas actually work to solve your problem. Initiate the new process once you have identified how you're going to restructure your process, and then evaluate it again. Brainstorming is one of my favorite tools. When done correctly, this can produce a variety of ideas and concepts to help you with your project. The key to brainstorming is to let the ideas flow without any criticism. All ideas are good ideas, and they should be captured during the session. The cause and effect, or Ishikawa, or Fishbone diagram, is what I like to call an organized brainstorming tool. The concept applies that we just reviewed. You want the ideas to flow without any criticism. The head of the fish represents your cause or measurable problem statement. The bones of the fish represent categories of information. When working with the fishbone diagram to solve your problem, as team members are suggesting areas of opportunity, place them in the associated category on the diagram. The standard categories are man, method, machine, materials, measure, and Mother Nature. Don't worry if you think the category isn't right. It is more important to document the information than it is to place it in the right category. You can also use categories of your own if these don't work for your situation. Check sheets are used to observe or review a process. It's important to have a check sheet ready with the categories before you start your observation. The steps include identifying and agreeing on what information is going to be collected, deciding on who will collect the data and over what period of time, and how it will be collected on the computer or paper, etc. Then you create the appropriate check sheet. Gather the data, but don't decide to change the check sheet on the fly. If you need to make changes, stop the experiment, consult with your team, and start again. The Affinity Diagram is one of my favorite lean tools to use. The diagram organizes a large number of ideas into their natural relationships. It's best used when you have many facts or ideas in apparent chaos, or when you have a group that may be hesitant to share ideas verbally, like you do in brainstorming or with a fishbone diagram. To create an affinity diagram, start with a topic, issue, or problem. So let's say our topic is to learn all about the services provided from the Human Resource Department. All participants will brainstorm ideas about the services and write their ideas on individual post-it notes. They'll place the post-it notes on a wall, and the facilitator or volunteer will review the post-its and start grouping the similar ideas. Once all of the ideas have been grouped by similarities, then a label will be assigned to each grouping. If you're working on a problem, the group with the most post-it notes is generally a good indication of where to start your research. Let's talk about feedback. Customer feedback, to be exact. This is where we find out what the customer actually thinks about your product or service. We also call this gathering the voice of the customer, or VOC. Obtaining customer feedback can be time-consuming. You don't always get a good response rate from paper surveys anymore, and sometimes it can be hard to tell who exactly is responding. One of the best ways to gather customer feedback is to go to the Gemba. Go where the work is being done to experience the same things as your customer with your product or service. A flowchart is a visual representation of a process. Start documenting the process in order, focusing on how things actually work. Include inputs, decisions, people, outputs, time, and process measures. The biggest mistake you can make with a flowchart is not doing one at all. A focus group is an attempt to improve the depth and accuracy of customer feedback. To conduct a focus group, make sure you identify the goals of the focus group session and determine how the session will be run. Focus group techniques are usually limited to consumer product-related activities. A force field analysis is essentially a pro and con list. At the top of the list, you provide your goal or objective as a future or desired state. Then list the driving forces. Those are your pros. This list includes the things that make the future state occur. Next, list the restraining forces. Those are the cons, listing the things that prevent the future state from occurring. Once completed, the team ranks the two lists using nominal group technique to provide guidance on how to proceed. The last tool we'll review today is the Gantt Chart. You may have seen a Gantt chart if you were previously involved in a project with a formal project manager, or you may have even completed one yourself. This chart is a great example of visual management, as it is used to graphically display key activities and duration on top of a calendar. It also shows individual tasks and major milestones. The Gantt chart comes in helpful when you need to quickly identify how a change will impact your project schedule and resources. Thanks for joining me in today's session. Information on additional sessions can be found on our website, learningtolean.training.